Hello and welcome to Yapping with me, Fellonius the Wizard. And we are going out on a limb. I'm going to talk a bit about nationalism. It's not one of my favorite topics, but I want to see if I can make any connection or separation, in my case, between nationalism and national socialism, because those two are not the same. And then we also have patriotism, which is not the same. And which part of this is actually good, bad, no one cares? I don't know. I have a Wikipedia page up in English, so you don't have to fix it. Nationalism, not to be confused with patriotism. This is an ideology. Nationalism is an idea and movement that promotes the interest of a particular nation, as in a group of people, especially with the aim of gaining and maintaining the nation's sovereignty, self-governance, over its homeland. Up to that point, it sounds like every nation has nationalism. Because that is what we do, right? Except for the United European Union, perhaps. But we are trying to be nations inside that. Nationalism holds that each nation should govern itself. EU broke away. Free from outside interference. Self-determination is the word. That a nation is a natural and ideal basis for a polity, and that the nation is the only rightful source of political power, popular sovereignty. And with Brexit now actually going on, the UK is suddenly going back to nationalism in that sense, but mostly in economical sense. Then suddenly the Scots is actually trying to do that as well, having their type of nationalism. And that is why I'm going on about this. I'm trying to learn something about this. It further aims to build and maintain a single national identity, I'm back at Wikipedia, based on shared social characteristics of culture, ethnicity, geographic location, language, politics, or the government, religion, traditions, and belief in a shared singular history. Well, most of us have that. At least in Sweden we have the shared history, at least, but we don't have the culture. Our culture is not nationalistic at all that I know of. Perhaps some are talking back at me, but I call it patriotism. It's more like we are the best because this football soccer team is the best. It's more like that. Ethnicity, darn hard work. We are having a lot of ethnic people. There are so many diversity in our country that I can hardly count them all. There are so many languages, so that is not even a one. And we are also moving towards having English as more of our native tongue. So yeah, we'll see about that. Let's see. Nationalism seeks to preserve and foster a nation's traditional cultures, and cultural revivals have been associated with nationalist movement. Well, that I can't see, but I can hear from it. Some of the things that happens in US, there are some patches that keeps together. It's the South, the rednecks, I don't know all that stuff, but it feels like something strange. And then we have, I just jump a quit. This is also rather important. Nationalism is often combined with other ideologies such as conservatism or socialism. Yeah, well, sort of. But socialism is actually also something that you can have in another type of nation. It is having all people, everybody having the same things, and not only the rich or the super Swedish or something like that. There are 3 paradigms for understanding the origins and the basis of nationalism, and this is pretty tough. Primordialism or perennialism proposes that there have always been nations, I doubt, and that nationalism is a natural phenomenon. I don't see that, mainly because I know that up here in Sweden, this was actually just ice, and then suddenly there were some East Asian people who came here. They didn't bring a nation with them, so nations is actually not something that is really that hard. I mean, we did good up to... I doubt we had any nations until the Vikings suddenly turned up, and that's only 1,000 years ago. That's not much. The second paradigm is ethno-symbolism, explains nationalism as a dynamic evolutionary phenomenon and stresses the importance of symbols, myths and traditions in the development of nations and nationalism. Don't get that really. Don't really get that. And then we have the last one. The modernization theory proposes that nationalism is a recent social phenomenon that needs the socio-economic structures of a modern society to exist. Yeah, that could be true. But, yeah, I doubt that. We have a lot of stuff going on. But it has nothing to do with nationalistic socialism, Nazis. So anyone who suddenly say that if you're a nationalistic person and they call you a Nazi, they are wrong. Nationalistic socialism is, of course, the things that we had in Germany during the late 20s, early 30s, back in the other century. And that turned bad because they used that nationalistic feeling that everybody else was crap and we are the only people on this earth that is worth anything. And people are actually thought about it and thought it sounded okay, but if you look at it in a historical perspective, if that could have happened like, I don't know, 10 years prior or before the Great War, First War, that wouldn't be possible, because National Socialism could only get from the economic situation in the nation. And of course, the fact that Germany lost the first war meant that Hitler and his gang could easily manage people and bring them to a vengeance state. And that is not nationalism either. That is purely historical facts that brought everything on. Is that going to happen again? No, I don't think so. That is one of my points. I don't think we are going to see the Nazis taking over the world. We have a lot of people talking about nationalism. We do. And we also have a lot of people talking not about it. But avoid it is not the answer. If you have, I'm not totally sure how I'm going to do it. We have a special party in Sweden called the Sweden Democrats, and they are not democratic at all, not as far as I can see it, but they are nationalistic, but they cannot use the word nationalism in their ideology, because that suddenly brings swastikas and stuff into people's minds. 10, 20, perhaps 50 years from now it would work, because then history had faded. But at the moment they can't, so they call themselves Democrats. But they want to have the nation closed. They want a very close nation, and that won't work in this global environment that we are inside. So there is a couple of stuff that is going right and some things that going wrong. But remember, just because someone loves their country, that's patriotism, and does want to keep the country safe, that's okay as well, and would love to have anybody else except others to govern their country, that's just pure nationalism from a traditional way. Tradition, that's all. I don't think there is anything really depth in it. I guess I am totally on a limb here, but I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around this, because I cannot go around calling people Nazis without knowing what the fork I'm talking about, and I'm not. I have no idea. Oof, that was deep. It's Sunday. I guess most of you has already dropped out, and those of you who have listened, thank you for listening. Bye.